Welcome to the Guitar Channel. I am super happy to welcome you a new interview. I am with the one and only Andy Manson at the Holy Grail Guitar Show edition 2018. Andy, how are you doing today?
Fine, thanks. Very excited to see everybody. Had a great night last night with the dinner and going around catching up with everybody. Loads of hugs everywhere and jokes and laughter and yeah, really great. So I'm right up for it. Yeah.
It's not the first time you have been exhibiting at as a Holy Grailer, right?
No, that's right. I think I've visited twice already. The last one I didn't. I wanted to come and schmooze around and check everything out and just be more of a spectator, which is. But yeah, I thought I'd have a go this time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun to show the stuff, and yeah, it's a different involvement.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
What do you think is special about the Holy Grail Guitar Show as guitar show compared to other you maybe did in the past?
Oh well, there's nothing to compare it. I mean, over the years, like when I started back, early. If you think back to say 1970 or something, that there were a few of us starting up in England remotely. We didn't know each other at the beginning. There was no internet and all that kind of stuff. And gradually we'd come across each other because we'd be at like a trade show and we'd be, rotor sound, do you think we could have a little space on your stand? And they'd go, oh, cool, yeah, it would make the stand more interesting.
Okay.
Strings, or a Marshall or a Hi-Watt or something. And we'd, and so we'd get to know each other, a bunch of us, and then so we'd all be in the pub in the evening, getting wasted, obviously, and discussing this thing. Oh, if only we had some kind of guild, or and everybody go, yeah, it'd be great. And so, who wants to run it? Well, so nothing ever happened. Obviously, we're luthiers. We're not admin people. We barely run our own businesses, and so it's always been a frustration. And there have been one or two dedicated guitar shows over the years that I've been to in England. That they were rather one-off events, and but when the EGB formed, and I got this invitation through the post to, we're going to have this big guitar show in Berlin. You're invited to attend. And I looked at the thing and I saw the criteria that it would be, everybody would have the same facility. You weren't allowed to, if you had more money or something to improve your stand. No, we wanted to make it
one size fits all.
Yeah, exactly. So a level playing field, really, and the luthier has to be there himself, and it has to be his work. And it's like, this is it. This is the thing,
Now they get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And well, of course, it's run by luthiers.
Yeah,
so
it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing, and people have been saying there's nothing like it in the world. I mean, I've never been to any of those American shows. I've been to the NAMM show, but that's a trade show. It's a different thing. But the Woodstock and those things, I've never been to one of those, so I can't really compare with that. But everybody seems to say that this is a different thing altogether, and. It's just great to come and be with a bunch of people that we all know the same problems. We're all after the same Holy Grail, basically, and we understand each other. And it's an opportunity to spend the whole weekend talking about nothing about nothing but guitars to people that actually understand what you're talking about. and it's such a sharing community. There's no, there are no secrets. There's many mysteries, but there are no secrets.
Okay.
And
that's a nice formula.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's a formula of life. That's what life is really. But yeah, I'm loving it.
Okay.
yeah. It's cool.
Going back to your history, your personal history, can you tell me what was your first guitar? Not the first one you built, but your first guitar.
My first guitar, yes. Well, that was given to me when I think I was about 15 or 16, by the headmaster of the junior school I'd been to, he was a priest, and he'd been given this guitar by somebody who said, "Oh, you should learn the guitar, and the kids would love to hear you." And it wasn't his thing.
Okay.
And so he gave it to me, and it was this kind of flat plywood box with a tailpiece, a pressed steel tailpiece, and a floating bridge, and a like an archtop type neck fixture. And it was quite small. It was about the size of a parlor guitar, and the name on it was Martin Coletti.
Okay.
And it was, well, looking back, it was dreadful. I loved it. It was, and I, immediately went and got a Donovan songbook, I think, and a Bob Dylan songbook, and 100 best American folk songs and that kind of stuff, and learned to play CFG and all that, and and it was difficult to play. And after a bit, I started to figure out, well, if I stuck a matchstick under the bridge there, it would just kind of alter things slightly and make it a bit easier. So maybe that were the beginnings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what happened to that guitar, but I really can't remember. But I remember buying a Framus 12-string from my friend who was going to get something else, and I strung it 6 strings. And then, for one reason or other, I ended up with not having that. And then I was in no guitar. What do I do now? And well, my dad had tools and bits of wood and stuff for putting up shelves around the house. And so I thought, I'm going to give it a go. Can't be that difficult.
Okay.
And
that's where everything started for you?
Yeah, really, yeah. And I made a very, very brutally crude instrument, which was, however, playable, and I played it I used to go busking with it, and even hitchhiking around France with it, and playing in cafes, and so that was that, and then after a bit, well, I sort of thought to myself, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life, sleeping in a sleeping bag next to a hedge in, halfway down the Route National 7 for the rest of my life. I said, what can I do? So I ended up, it was just, I don't know, somebody said to me, oh, there's a place in London where you can learn to make musical instruments. And they told, it was a college, and they said, and they gave me the address, and it was the London College of Furniture. And anyway, long story short, they had a piano technician's course attached to the college, and they accepted me in, saying, well, there's nowhere else you can learn guitar making, so just come and do your thing.
Okay.
And I met with an established luthier in London who took me under his wing for a bit, and the college let me go to his workshop a couple of days a week, because they thought, well, that's the best thing you can be doing, and and that was it. On from there, it's just like jump off the cliff, get on with my life,
If you have to summarize a couple of important encounters or steps in your life, what would they be? Turning points,
In my life as a luthier?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably 2 major events in the past. One was shortly after I'd started building, and I'd finished in London, and I was in Sussex, the southeast of England, and I was staying at my parents' house, and one of their neighbours came round for a coffee with my mother, and she said, "Oh, Andrew, did you know there's a pop star lives down the road?" I said, "No. What? Oh, well, I don't know their name, but you should go and knock on their door. Maybe they have some work for you." so I very shyly and naively, and as a green young man, went down and knocked on the door of this enormous, great mansion. Anyway, it turned out to be John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin.
Not bad for a first customer.
Yeah, and luckily for me, he turned out to be a really nice guy, really, really decent fellow, no arrogance or anything, and he took me in and he was obviously going to test me out, gave me a Telecaster to set up.
Okay.
Not much can go wrong there, really.
Can't possibly destroy that one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And yeah, one thing led to another, and the first thing he asked me to build was he wanted a collapsible guitar that he could take the neck off it, an acoustic, and put it all together in a box the size of a briefcase,
okay.
So that he could fly with it and it would fit under the seat. That was the criteria. So I did that, and he's still got it actually. It works fine. That was probably about 1972 or 1 or something. And anyway, so so we used to go to the concerts because they'd send free tickets and stuff. And I remember one night, I guess, they used to do an acoustic set in the middle of their show, and so the three of them would sit on the front of the stage, and Bonzo with the bongos, and Jimmy with a Martin Dreadnought of some sort, and John would be there with a 6-string, a 12-string, and a mandolin, and he'd pick one up and put it down and pick up the other, like in the middle of a song. So I was sitting there thinking, well, if you could stick them all together, maybe that would work. So I didn't say anything, and I went home and I worked on some designs, and I built this thing, and I took it to show him, and he went bananas for it. So that was a turning point. In fact,
so it was developed just right from scratch, without talking to John Paul Jones beforehand.
No, yeah. I thought I don't know. I was terribly shy when I was young, and very naive and socially inept, basically. And I'm not great nowadays at that kind of thing, but I thought the best thing I can do is, because if I talk to him about it, he might go, "Oh, I don't know," and I would have been put off. And so I thought, I'm going to do this because I think it's going to work, and it excited me. So yeah, I did, and I took it to show him, and he was knocked out. And he said, actually, the what's really turning me on about this is waiting to see Jimmy's face when I walk on stage with it, because Jimmy had the twin neck, you see. It's a one-upmanship.
I've got one more neck.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was pretty cool. And then the other really, so obviously that gave me an instant reputation, particularly the triple neck. I mean, it's become an iconic thing. I mean, actually, I got paid £400 for that instrument, and I believe it's insured now for something like $2 million.
Okay.
So I want him to lose it, so he'd have to come and buy another one.
And this one is going to cost $2 million.
Exactly. But the other thing, really good thing that happened was there was an English music magazine, acoustic. I think it was called Acoustic Music or Acoustic Guitar or something. And the luthier that I'd been with in London was slightly involved with that. He did reviews and stuff. And they set up this thing with Mike Oldfield where they were going to get him to review about 10 different guitars in the same magazine, and as a feature, and that would be it. And the question was, did I have anything that I'd like to submit for this? And I was like, wow, Mike Oldfield, God, that would be amazing. Oh, I haven't got anything finished. And so I said, well, when is it? I said, no, plenty of time. It's in about 3 months. And I had a guitar half made on my workbench, and it was already for me a bit of a turning point, because I'd been doing that kind of young man thing of thinking, I know all about everything, I got, that kind of youthful arrogance thing, and I was making some pretty wacky stuff, which didn't really do it properly. I mean, it was interesting, and you learn a lot by wandering about outside the box, obviously. But I decided, you know what, I'm gonna come back to making not a copy, but a kind of classic style, American style dreadnought guitar. Let's stick to the plan, because that's what everybody plays. So okay. So I had this thing half finished, so I said, I can finish that in time. So yeah, got it all together and sent it off. And the next thing that happened, a phone call from my friend saying, would you like to sit down? So, okay, what's happened?
What now?
Oh, no. He said, well, Mike's played your guitar. He thinks it's the best guitar he's ever played, and he wants to buy it. So that was all in the magazine and everything. Okay. So that was like, what could have been better at the time, especially at the time. I mean, that was just after Tubular Bells. So he was really big at the time, and it was used on Hurtis Ridge, and I think maybe the next album as well, which I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, so yeah, those are really probably the most important things in terms of the promotion of my work that occurred outside of myself, if you like, as accidentally in a way. So
if you have to mention who would be your influence as previous guitar builders, who would they be?
That's a difficult question.
You were so arrogant, you knew nobody, and you invented the wheel and everything?
I don't... I think... I mean, in the early days, we were looking at... What was there? There was, the guitars that were of a quality that none of us could afford to buy, but we saw, people play... Ralph McTell, for example, playing a Gibson, and, so there were the American guitars basically, and one or two like Levins. What was it? There were Martins, Gibsons, Levins.
Guild? No, not Guild.
Guild. We didn't tend to see those really in England too much, so we looked to those as the models. As the well, this is what we're aiming at. I think it's hard to say really. I mean, I have in my workshop a guitar built in 1840 by Louis Panormo, who was of his era. He was like the Stradivari of guitars.
Okay.
And this is a beautiful little guitar, really minimal, simple little thing. All his guitars look the same. It's the same model. It's hard to tell one from the other. He just stuck with a thing. Rather like violin makers, they're all the same thing. And that guitar is just wonderful. And obviously, I don't think it influenced me, because although I have seen them in the past, but this particular one I've had in my possession for about 8 or 9 years, I think, and was given to me by my original teacher, luthier in London. Okay. Kind of as a swap, because there was a point where I felt like I needed to make my masterpiece to present to my original teacher, and that was fairly recent in my life. But anyway, so I did that, and he was thrilled with it. Actually, he is now a she, so I have to say that. Loved it, and I walked into her house, and on the wall there was this Panormo, and I thought, is that a real one? Because I've seen several of them, you know, broken and in bits, and it looked like it was playable. And I sat up all night playing it, and it was in terrible condition. Had old strings on, didn't play in tune, but it was like just the sound of this thing. And we stayed there 2 or 3 days, and when it came to leave, she said, wait a minute, I'll just go and get a case. Now, would you like to take this? So, whoa, yes. And one condition, that it's not for sale. It's never for sale. So you pass it on to whoever you think. And so, but in a way, it's that type of work that really influences me. I mean, I've done sort of fancy inlaid stuff and quite enjoyed it now. But my real leaning, especially now more so, even more so, is minimal possible. I kind of think least amount of glue joints in a guitar, the better.
Okay.
and you know, I mean, there's amazing, beautiful artwork goes on with the guitars and so on, and I really admire it, and it's wonderful stuff. For me, it's all about, it's a tool. Let's not get over fussy about this. You're going to scratch it. It's going to get knocked about. You want it to be your friend, not your enemy that's telling me, if you scratch me, I'm going to be angry. You know, so that's really what I'm interested in, and so yeah, who are my influences? I don't know how to say other than that, really.
We can move on to the here and now if you want.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Shall we?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see what we've got today, and what is your Holy Grail guitar you brought to Berlin.
Well, this is, having said all about minimalism, as you can see, this is, I don't know whether you'd call that decorative. It's just another shape, I suppose.
That's your trademark shape here.
This
right?
shape, yeah. I developed this. It's evolved a bit over the years, but there was a point where I thought it would be really interesting to build an acoustic guitar, because I like playing electric guitar as well, and I like Telecasters. I like them for their simplicity and indestructibility, and so on. And I thought it would be interesting to build an acoustic guitar that really is like an acoustic version of that type of thing. Okay. So basically, it means lots of access up the neck, 22 frets.
Let's show it to the camera this way. Okay, excellent. So now we see the clear Telecaster influence, so high access to the fret and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is that I've always, cutaway guitars, they always look like a bit of an afterthought and not very well thought out, because they look like somebody's just taken a bite out of it, and it's not like kind of designed from the ground up. It's, so I thought, well, let's make it more kind of graceful. And
let's show the back of the guitar too. So here we go. Here we have very nice, graceful curves and design. Okay. Can you see that? Very cool.
Yeah. So. And the shape of the sound hole, I guess, comes. I did make a while ago. I was making a few Macaferri style guitars, Selma style guitars, and I was just taken with the shape of the sound hole. I like it, and this was the kind of outline, kind of surround for it that I came up with to bind it, and I kind of. I like it, and it's a bit of a signature kind of thing, I suppose.
What are the woods you used on this?
Well, spruce for the top. The back is yew. It's English yew.
Okay. Is that usual to use this kind of wood? I never heard of this name. It's quite commonly used now.
Okay. It was the wood that was the favourite wood of Baroque lute makers for the backs. In my mind, it's a very special wood. I mean, it's thought of as a sacred tree in England. You always find them in churchyards, and there are peculiar qualities about it. The leaves are farmers don't like them because the leaves are poisonous to cattle.
Okay.
And the berries, the little red berries on them, they're kind of weird because you can eat the flesh of the berry. The pip is lethally poisonous.
Okay.
my friend, whose father was a farmer, used to eat the berries and spit the pips out.
Okay.
It was like, and it was the word for the famous longbows that were pretty successful against your compatriots in the old days. And actually, I made a U-bodied guitar for an American woman a while ago, and she was very excited by that fact because she had worked on a project. She was some kind of scientist, and she worked on a project where they'd extracted some substance from yew, which was a cancer drug. And it has those things. You find the Romans used to use it for underground water pipes. It doesn't rot underground.
Okay. Cool.
So there are all kinds of things about it, but it's a great tone wood. It's just.
And is that a guitar geared toward more some style of music, finger style, finger picking, or all of the above? Or?
Yeah, this is pretty lightly built. Yeah. You can feel it.
Oh yeah, it's a feather light indeed. Yeah, ooh, it's flying. Yeah.
So yeah, finger style. I mean, in a way, I feel like I have to build guitar. The best guitars that come out of me are the ones that I kind of like to play myself.
Yeah.
It's pretty logical to me.
There was a nice formula you used during the General Assembly. You said you keep building guitar because you can't play it, or I don't know, something like that. But it was more funny than that.
Well, it's a kind of. It's a quest it's an ongoing, endless quest for the perfect guitar that more or less plays itself, because I'm a bit of a clumsy player.
Okay.
So yeah, this one I really like actually, and so finger style. That's what I play finger style. I don't like playing with a plectrum really. So materials, what else have we got? Maple for the neck.
Yeah, okay.
The fingerboard and the bridge. Madronia, which is what other names for that? Arbutus, the Latin name, sometimes called the strawberry tree.
Okay.
It has little tiny red berries, like a strawberry, but very small. I know in Portugal they make aquavit from it. So
okay.
The wood is astoundingly good. Some years ago, I had a friend who was a market gardener and. Not a market gardener, a landscape gardener, and he said he had to cut this tree down in one of his jobs. And would I like the wood? He said it's arbutus, the strawberry tree. And I said, well, yeah, okay, fine. I don't know anything about it, but and I kept it for years, and I hadn't used it it needed to dry and so on. And the boards actually, it was cut wrong. It should have been seasoned in the round, and he had it cut into like sort of 30 mil thick planks, and it went all kind of crazy wiggly. So I just kind of ignored it in the corner for a while, and then I was looking for a wood of a particular color for some binding on a guitar to get the right color effect. And I looked at it and I thought, maybe that'll work. So I'd never used it. I didn't know how it would do. So I cut some strips out. And it was amazing. I could bend it around my little finger without it breaking, with steam, obviously. But and it seemed like the right hardness and everything. And then more recently, we've all been talking about local
wood. Yeah.
The local woods. We don't want to be shipping tropical woods halfway around the world on gallons and gallons of diesel, and we don't want to be killing the forests and all the rest of it. So I thought, well, and one of the problems with that is fingerboards. They need to be hard. So I thought, well, maybe it's hard, this stuff. Let's try it for fingerboards. And I thought, well, at the same time, maybe try it for a bridge. And it works great. What's
the budget for this guitar? Is that something you built for you, for your stock, or is that an order?
This one is going to, there's a shop in Holland that I supply, Fellowship of Acoustics.
Okay.
You know them?
Yeah. Very big shop with lots of instruments.
Yeah. Rudy Bultz is the proprietor, and he likes my work. He sells it very quickly.
Okay.
And basically says to me, "Give me what you want.
Okay.
Whenever you want." So it's going to him. I don't know the budget for this at the moment.
Okay.
I've got to have discussions with him about this whole. I'm at a kind of turning point in my with all that at the moment, especially with discussions that have been going on here amongst us about pricing and so on. And I've got to make some changes, and I don't really want to say at the moment.
Sure.
So
okay, no problem. So if people want to know more and order guitar from you, where do they go? They go to your website, or
they can come to my website, or they can talk to Rudy at Fellowship of Acoustics.
Okay.
I don't mind either way. That's it.
Andy, it was great to be able to have you on the show, and I wish you all the best. I knock on wood for this Holy Grail Guitar Show for you, and it was really a pleasure to have all your story, and a great honor for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pierre. Very nice to talk to you. Great to see you again.
Bye-bye.